Okay, so now we're going to start on the JavaScript. Now, one thing I forgot in the HTML is to include the script. So right above the body tag, let's add our script source to script.js. Okay, and we can close that up and open up script.js, close up the sidebar. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is grab the DOM elements that we need, and I'm just going to paste these in real quick and go over them. I don't like to copy and paste, but there's a lot of repetitive stuff here. We're just grabbing stuff from the DOM. So first we're grabbing the ID of word, putting it into word element. We have our wrong letters element, which is what's going to show up here, shows the wrong letters. Play again button, the pop-up, the notification down at the bottom, and the final message, which will be the heading in the pop-up. Okay, now we also need the parts, the figure parts, because we need to add them when the user gets a wrong word. So let's say const figure, we'll say figure parts, and since there's more than one, we need to use query selector all. And remember, there's a class of figure dash part, right? If we look in our HTML here. Oh, we didn't even add that. Oh, we did. Never mind. It's right here. I was going to say, how is it not showing? So each of these has a class of figure part. It's set to display none in the CSS, but we need to grab onto these in the JavaScript. So that's what we're doing right here. All right, now we need to define our words. Basically, each time we come to the game, it should load a word. And we don't want the same word every time. That would be no fun. So, oops, why did I just write that twice? So we're going to put this into an array. And you could have this have like a fetch request to some kind of back end where you have a database of words. If that's something you want to kind of continue on with and do, you could do that. But I'm just going to hard code an array here. So one word will be application. We'll say programming interface, and we'll do wizard. Okay, so those are our words. Now we need a selected word. So let's say let selected word. And the way we can do this is we can take an item from our words array, a random item, by using math. Let's round this down, math.floor. And then we'll get a random number. So math.random. And then we just need to multiply that by the length of the words array. So words.length. Okay, so that will give us a random word. And just to test that out, we'll go ahead and console log and go over here, and we get programming, reload, interface, interface, wizard, wizard, interface. So it just gives us a random word from this array. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now we need two arrays. One is going to store the correct letters through the game. Okay, so basically if we guess correctly, it'll get put in here. And then we also need wrong letters. Which is going to be an array. Okay, so we have these two arrays. And the first, I guess, task that I want here, or the first function, is going to be to display word. Okay, so we want to be able to display it on the screen, and this is going to get called automatically. All right, so we're going to call it down here. I guess I'll put a comment here. So this is going to show the hidden word. Now we're going to take the word element and set the inner HTML, and we're going to set it to a template string. So we use backticks here. And we're going to do some dynamic stuff in here. We're going to take the selected word. Okay, so whatever the selected word is, in this case application for this load, and then we need to turn it into an array, because we need to actually map through it and return either a letter or a blank, just an empty string. So to turn a string into an array, we can use the split method. So I'm going to go on to the next line here and say dot split. We want it to split by letter. So basically what we're doing is taking a string like wizard and turning it into an array where each letter is an item in the array. Okay, and then from there we can map through it since it's an array, and we'll say for each letter we're gonna go ahead and return an element here, a span with the class of letter. Remember we hard-coded this earlier. Okay, like that. And then inside here what we want is from the correct, we're going to say correct letters, because any letters that we add that are correct will be in this array, and we want to check to see if they're in there, if this letter is in there. And we'll use the includes method. Okay, so we're basically just saying, is the current letter we're looping through included in corrected letters, which is an array we initialized up here. Okay, if it is, we're going to use a ternary here. This is a shorthand conditional, just a question mark. It's basically like a shorthand if statement. So if it is included, then we want to show the letter. Else, we use a colon for else. It's just going to be an empty string. Okay, and then in order to complete this, we need to turn it back into a string, because right now it's still an array, and we do that with the join method. And we just want to pass in just an empty quotes in here. Okay, and I'll just save this, and it got formatted a little bit, but you can still see what's going on. We're setting the inner HTML of word element to the selected word, splitting it into an array, mapping through it, seeing if the letter is included in that array. If it is, we're going to output the letter. If it's not, just an empty string, and then we're just simply turning it back into a string. And you can see over here there's nothing in this array, so it's just a bunch of blank letters. All right. Now, if I were to add, I could manually add up here. Let's add an R, because I think every word has an R in it. Well, application doesn't, but let's go ahead and save. And now you can see that if that letter's found, because of what we just did right here, it's going to show. If I reload, so that's programming. Reload, that's, I think, wizard. It's interface. Okay, so there we go. Now, this display word, it's going to run initially, but it's also going to run after every guess. So this is where we can actually tell if the user won or not. So let's go under, let's see, this whole expression ends here. So we want to go underneath, and I'm just going to do a console log here of the word element inner text. Okay, I want to show you this, and then I'm just going to add up here some stuff, like let's do W, I, and Z. Okay, so I'm going to reload this. So notice here, this is wizard, and it has 3 letters. So these are all included. These are all in the correct letters. And notice down here how it goes vertically. That's because there's a new line character after each of these. So we actually have to remove that. So what we want to do here is create a variable called inner word, and we're going to set it to that word element dot inner text, but we want to replace, okay, we're going to use replace here and use a regular expression, so we have to put in double slashes here, and we want to replace the new line character, which is going to be \n, and we want to replace that with just an empty string, and we want to do this globally, okay, so wherever it's found. And that will allow us to proceed with what I want to do next. So just to show you the difference, if we console log what I just showed you and now inner word, and we save, let's look at wizard. Okay, so you can see the difference here. This one has the new line character. You can't see the actual character, but you can see it's on a new line. This one doesn't. It's all just on one line. So now what we want to do to see if we won or not is to check if the inner word is equal to the selected word. Okay, because if it's equal to the whole selected word, then we know we won, right? So if we won, then we're going to set the final message dot inner text. Remember, the final message is the heading, and we're going to set that to congratulations, and I'm going to put a little emoji in here as well. So I'm going to just paste this in, and of course all this code is in the GitHub repo. Alright, so we want to just put that for the message, and then we want to show the pop-up. So we'll select the pop-up, and we can manipulate a style, and the style we want to manipulate is display, and we want to set it to flex. Okay, so we'll save that. And now what should happen if I go ahead and I fill this with the actual word, wizard, and we go ahead and reload, when it hits wizard, we get this pop-up, congratulations. Okay, play again doesn't work, we'll have to add that later on, but I just wanted to show you that up to this point this is working. So if we actually match the word, if this array right here is filled with all the correct letters, then we get our pop-up. Alright, but I'm just going to get rid of this now. And yeah, so I'll save that. And in the next video, what we want to do is add an event listener so that when we hit a letter, it will fire off an event, and we can do our check and see if it's a match or not. Alright, so we'll continue that in the next video.